salvation, not made of steel and stone, or shaped by man's design.
The crimson bridge of hope, just made by Jesus Christ.
On the crimson bridge, we are shining points of light, like a million candles illuminate the night. Through God's love we are united, as we cross the great divide. God and sinners reconciled.
Hello and welcome to this issue of Global Perspectives. Did you know that over 300 million children and youth are under 15 years of age in China? There are literally hundreds of millions of children throughout Asia and the Pacific who've not heard of the Jesus that you know. They don't know their significance and value. Someone will get a hold of their hearts and minds, and whoever does will influence this planet for generations to come. Barb Nizza and the staff of the College of Education, part of the UofN, have just completed and published a 5-volume curriculum for early childhood education. It's used in over 50 nations around the world right now, being published in multiple languages. You can get a hold of it by contact with Barb at the UofN here in Kona. Speaking of education, many of us look back on our childhood experiences and schooling in particular with less than fond memories. Possibly, like my own experience, you knew a teacher who validated you or called forth who you were. But for most of us, that schooling experience represented a huge imposition on us and reminded us possibly of just how dumb we were or what we didn't know. Our first story deals with this dynamic of how each of us learn, and quite possibly understanding why you may have struggled. You may as well discover just how intelligent you really are.
Okay, which would be where?
Was this you in school? Or were you closer to this? Well, if you were like me, you were probably the bored one. School just wasn't relevant. Did it seem like no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't do well? So in the end, you just stopped trying. Well, guess what? You're probably not alone. In fact, you're probably in the majority.
People take information in differently. Some people are listeners, some people are lookers, some people are movers. The technical terms, they're auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. Then when we get information in, people do different things with it. Some people file it away very neatly.
That would not be me.
Others throw it in, toss it in amongst all kinds of other information, and make connections with it.
Ah, that's me.
When we put information back out again, we all do it differently again. Some people would like to do it with music. Some like to do it by using their whole body.
The Lord is mighty. The Lord can quench the evil flame.
Some would do it with language.
Se habla español.
Some with what's called mathological intelligence. That's being able to see patterns and connections with things. Some like to work alone, some like to work with other people.
It turns out there are at least 7 intelligences, though probably a lot more. There's mathological and linguistic intelligence.
Now those are the 2 that in the West we train and reward. All the smart kids that you can think of at school were good at language and good at maths and perhaps at science.
There's music,
which is an intelligence, not just a nice talent you got instead of language.
Spatial intelligence,
to do with design and shape.
There's the intrapersonal,
being able to draw on your own resources as you're learning.
And the interpersonal,
being able to work with others to come to the product that you're trying to create.
And there's body kinesthetic,
which means that you can use your entire body to find answers to things.
The educational system virtually worldwide is geared to the learner who thinks analytically or in a linear fashion. But for those who don't think that way, who think more in a spiral or a spider web, things connecting to other things, the school system doesn't really work very well because it doesn't offer very much in that shape. And if a student finds it difficult to learn sequentially, it becomes frustrating for him. Now think of your schooling. Did it gear any of its teaching towards anything other than the mathological or linguistic intelligences? Probably not, and as a result, many students, like myself, found school to be meaningless.
Mostly because they think in higher levels of thinking, the creative side.
Did you hear that? She said higher forms of thinking.
And those who are high in that creative side and high in the more orderly side as well, do fine. It's just these few who are strongly creative and not so orderly that really struggle.
Some of us never finished high school because of the hopelessness we felt when it came to academics. Well, now there's hope.
As a training consultant, what I do is I go to various YWAM bases, many YWAM bases, and teach. Usually I always teach the staff first about these issues. If they want to work with the students, the staff have to hear it first. Then if I work with the students, I give it to them at a different angle, obviously, teaching them about learning, how they best learn, why perhaps they've had some of the frustrations they've had.
Rosalie offers an equivalency program through the University of the Nations for people who want to go back to high school and get their diploma. Now, what the course doesn't teach you is the actual facts you would learn in high school, but what it does teach you is how you best learn. What you'll probably discover is that you're not as dumb as you thought you were. In fact, you're probably smarter than a lot of people. Well, like me, I was much smarter than everybody in my class. I just didn't test well, and I really didn't want to pass the test because if I did, then people would be jealous, you know, and things like that, and then I'd have to keep proving myself.
People are moving to the cities. Year by year, the world's megacities keep growing. Millions are searching for hope. But how can we reach them? How can we capture their hearts and minds as they're in their homes, their workplaces, and on the move? One of the ways we can reach people is with FM radio. And University of the Nations Communication College is offering a new school of radio broadcasting. It's a training program with emphasis on applying biblical values to creative entertainment and information. A program that will equip you with the skills you need. Theory is combined with hands-on experience of new technology. You'll be challenged to search God for the most creative ways to use FM radio for excellent communication of the most excellent message. You'll be trained by Christian professionals who have God's heart for missions and communication. Take the challenge. Take 3 months to take the school. The School of Radio Broadcasting, a most excellent choice.
There's a crimson bridge that spans the generations, linking young and old in holy revelation. The old are young again, in dreams they see his light. The young he calls by name, in visions burning bright. On the crimson bridge, we are shining points of light. Like a million candles illuminate the night. Through God's love we are united as we cross the great divide. God and sinners reconciled.
I think that the Global Perspectives video is one of the best tools that I've ever seen to help communicate what is going on, not only within YWAM, but specifically what God is doing around the world.
YWAM has participated in the publishing of a new discipleship Bible. It's called the Christian Growth Bible, and it will be in print soon. Lynn Green has the details.
Hi, my name is Lynn Green. And I'm Betty Barnett.
We think that God has led us in a way in these last few years which will be a real blessing to you. It started actually several years ago with a man approaching me saying that he loved YWAM teaching and wondered whether or not it would be possible for us to put our DTS material into a study Bible. Well, I thought that was just a great idea. He went away to send me a proposal. At that point, I thought, I've got to have somebody who can manage this project and see that it gets done. And I thought of Betty. And I asked Betty, have you ever considered being a managing editor of a study Bible?
No, and I really wasn't looking to be a managing editor of a study Bible, but God confirmed it to me. And soon after Lynn had asked me, I was in Sweden speaking at a YWAM base there and had an incredible divine appointment with the international president of the International Bible Society. Through this man, through Lars Dunberg of the International Bible Society, we ended up meeting with the president and the vice president of Zondervan Bible Publishers. And through that, this became what was intentionally originally a UK small discipleship Bible into a worldwide project.
How many people have we had participate in this from YWAM?
Well, there's been nearly 100 people. It's been amazing how God's brought together the right people with the right giftings, the right experience. Some people in the project have said it's been the most fulfilling thing they've worked on in their life.
We're going to have this study Bible available coming this summer. Keep your eyes open. From time to time over the next few months you'll hear more about this. Betty and I want to show you what's in this in the months to come in future global perspectives. But this should be a tremendous blessing to you, to everybody on your YWAM bases, and to friends and supporters all around the world.
Hi, I'm Jim Stier. I'm YWAM's new president. One of the most fulfilling things that I do is to get out onto the frontiers, right out in the edge of things, and visit the people that are confronting the truly difficult circumstances. And I can tell you that it's out there in these hard places where people are going through tremendous trials that the heroes of the faith are really being produced. I was just in Angola. I sat down there with a young man named Francisco, and I asked him about the last few years. He was in a town that would switch back and forth between the guerrillas and the government and the guerrillas and the government, and every time he was subject to torture. He was buried alive. He was left without food for days. He was threatened with the firing squad. He was shot. And all through that, he remained faithful to God and faithful to his calling, refusing to do their bidding and kill people for them. And I look at someone like Francisco, and it challenges my heart. And I believe that we will see in the next several years in missions is people rising up out of places like that around the world, people like Francisco, who will challenge us. They're the true giants of the faith that are being developed by the Lord in the trials and in the furnace of purification. Let's get our hearts ready to listen to them. Let's find them where they are and make an effort to come under their teaching and their ministry.
Some would call them the single largest unreached people group in the world. They can be found in great numbers from Morocco to Indonesia. In total, they number 500 million. And if you get the chance to meet one, you will never forget the experience. They are the children of the Islamic world. Although much has been written and said about the 1 billion neglected Muslims of our world, little attention has been focused on the 50% of those billion who are under the age of 15. Aziz is 10 years old. He is a shepherd boy living in the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. In many ways, he's like one of the typical boys in your neighborhood, but with one major difference. He knows nothing of the truth of God's Word and has no chance of ever knowing it. That is, unless someone penetrates his culture with the good news. While children in non-Muslim countries are often hindered from following Jesus by such things as peer pressure, drugs, materialism, and by the simple indifference of their parents, Muslim children simply don't have the chance to accept Jesus whatsoever, especially those who are strictly forbidden to associate with Christians. One missionary in a Muslim country wrote, "Not a single Muslim child in this nation, at any time or anywhere, comes into contact with Christians. It is no wonder that Muslim children are sometimes known as Islam's hidden half." Pray that these seemingly insurmountable barriers would not keep God's people from reaping the incredible potential in this harvest field. Pray that missionaries would be creative yet sensitive in their efforts to demonstrate God's great love for Muslim children, and that one day Muslim children everywhere would be able to sing the song, "Jesus loves me, this I know."
Varanasi, India's most ancient and sacred city. The sounds of bells and ritual chants fill the air as worshippers crowd its golden temples. One's most intimate desires and longings are offered in prayer to the gods. Men, women, and children all take part.
India is a land of infinite variety and great contrasts. But one characteristic stands above all. At the very heart and soul of India is a religion, Hinduism. This new video by Procla-Media Productions gives an honest and balanced look at this complex and intriguing religion. After examining its creeds, practices, and ever-present caste system, you will be able to pray more effectively for Hindus. For your copy of The Gods of India, write to Procla-Media Productions.
Mali, West Africa, is one of the poorest nations on earth, and yet the people of this country have great potential. We first reported on the YWAM work in Mali 5 years ago, but since then there have been many advances. Here are just a few of them.
'Bienvenue Mali!
Hi, and welcome to Mali, West Africa. I'm Larry Wright. I grew up here, and I take every opportunity I can to come back. We're just going to take a few minutes and see what God's doing through Youth with a Mission in Mali. Six years ago, I visited Mali, West Africa, when Youth with a Mission was sending outreach teams to villages around the country. The village of Procla-Media was one of them. Since that time, YWAM has continued sending teams on a regular basis. Youth with a Mission has been partnering with the Christian Missionary Alliance, and in cooperation with that denomination, have planted 10 churches in Mali in the last 5 years. The strategy is that YWAM sends evangelism teams into a village. As people come to the Lord, YWAM plants a church. When a church is established, the Christian and Missionary Alliance assigns a native pastor to that village. Today, YWAM workers Remida and Marceline from Burkina Faso are being commissioned by Chemogo Koulibaly, the Christian and Missionary Alliance pastor. They're going to plant the first church in Farakala. Later, as the church becomes more established, YWAM will step down and the Christian Missionary Alliance will take over. This is a strategy that's working well in the nation of Mali. Another exciting and penetrating project that has been occurring in the city of Kuchala is the formation of the private school École Samuel. The school was begun by YWAM and is available to the children of the city at a very low cost.
C'est vrai que j'ai été formé dans une école chrétienne. Oui. Et cette école se situait du moins à Soumanso, à 80 km d'ici. C'était une école chrétienne où la formation était vraiment bien donnée et où j'ai bénéficié d'une bonne éducation. Et après, c'est comme si le Seigneur, par la suite, en 1986, nous redonnait un peu, eh bien, cette vision. C'est comme, ça rappelle un peu Élisée qui prend le manteau d'Élie. Parce que finalement, cette école de Somanso a fermé sous le poids de certaines contraintes. Mais le fruit est là. Ça fait de bonnes choses. Il y a eu de bonnes graines qui ont été semées. Et vraiment, on reconnaît, et je ne suis pas le seul à reconnaître, on reconnaît qu'il y a vraiment de bonnes choses dans cette école. Et c'est pourquoi c'est comme si on reprenait donc ce manteau.
There is tremendous demand in Mali for quality education because the public schools are very poor. 90% of the children that attend École Samuel are from Muslim homes. And when the parents come to enroll their children, they're informed that the curriculum is Christian. But the quality of the teaching is so desirable, the parents allow it. The vision for the school began in 1988, and in 1994 construction began. Last year, the first of the 3 buildings was completed. It consists of 6 classrooms with a maximum of 40 students per room. When the school is complete, there will be a total of 3 buildings with 18 classrooms. One building will be for the primary classrooms, another for secondary students, and the third for professional training. In the hub of the school will be an assembly hall.
Quality education, especially in a developing country, can change the course of a nation's future. Youth of the Mission Mali is working to see the future of that nation worshiping God.
Ici, on est en train de se tenir sur le terrain qui vient d'être attribué par la mairie de Koutiala à Jeunesse en Mission.
Okay.
Nous avons demandé un lieu pour pouvoir construire un centre et tout ce terrain nous a été offert.
Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire ici?
Alors, notre vision, c'est de vraiment développer un centre de formation pour pouvoir envoyer des missionnaires. Donc, on aura plusieurs écoles et une place aussi pour le personnel.
The work of Mali has been a struggle, but the multinational staff is persevering to bring new life to the unreached peoples of Mali.